My name is Kristen Lovage. I am the Director of Business Development for Brubacher. This is the Brubacher and Beyond podcast, where we are shaping the world that we live in. So I was explaining to you guys, we do the Brubacher podcast for internal, so people can stay connected if you're an employee, but also it's the Beyond, right? This is the Beyond. We're at the DirtWorld Summit. This is day 2. We met last year, so it's a little follow-up. I think the biggest thing, my takeaway is, it's hard to implement everything we're learning.
You got to look for nuggets.
Yes.
You got to look for nuggets.
But let's not, I'm already jumping ahead and I'm already doing a bad job as a host. So why don't you introduce yourself?
Sure. Well, my name is John Hevela. Thanks for having us on, Chris. I am the Chief People Officer for Westcom Inc. Westcom Inc. is out to energize America. We do that primarily through electrical and automation work. I would say 75% of our work is in the oil and gas space. We also do a lot of pipeline work, heavy industry.
Okay.
We're in, right now it feels like every state in the nation, but we're headquartered in Duluth, Minnesota. We have offices in North Dakota, Texas, Wyoming, Marengo. Well, it's kind of Texas, New Mexico, right on the border there.
Okay.
So about 300 folks strong right now.
300 in your company. I think you said like 28 states you guys worked in.
Last year.
Last year, 28 states and moving and grooving. And specifically, you guys just do a niche of the market. It's not like...
Right. So in the oil field specifically, the producer will come out, they'll drill a hole, start pumping oil, and then they need this site to get electricity to it and everything, all the automation to make sure that the oil comes out of the ground, it goes into the right pumps, it goes into the right tanks, it gets sent to the pipeline and ends up at your house so you can turn your natural gas fireplace on. So every part of that process that involves the electrical side and automation side, we are involved in.
Okay. All right. Dave, go ahead.
Absolutely, man. Thanks for having me on as well. And actually, thanks to John for inviting me. He actually kind of exposed me to some of this podcast world with his podcast.
Okay.
Invited me today as well, and which is awesome. Like it's something pushes me outside my comfort zone, so I appreciate that. And I'm a general superintendent for Tappanee. We're a heavy civil company. We're about 700 people, so we cover Washington, Oregon, and Idaho. We got a pretty big. That's
a small footprint. That's like a little postage stamp, right?
Yeah, a little that's up there in that kind of northwest corner of the map.
Okay.
As far as the United States goes, there. Yeah, but no. So it's and my job is people. It's team building. It's kind of logistics on that side of things. Make sure that we have the right people on the jobs, enough people on the jobs, and then making sure we're not running out of work, right? And that those guys in the field, they're the ones they make or break it, right? So we want to make sure that that flow, that momentum for them is there. And that's kind of where my job comes into place, to make sure we don't end up with gaps to where it's now they don't have work, they don't have a paycheck coming in.
Someone said this the other day. It's the balance of getting work and getting people, and it's a constant getting work, building people, getting work, building people. But you don't want that thing to go, we're not getting work and we got all these people, right? It's
exactly.
And the getting the people and getting more work, it's not because we're greedy. It's because you want to give people opportunity, right? Like the guy who's a foreman wants the opportunity. He doesn't want to stay a foreman his whole life, right? So how do you do that?
Yeah, I'll take that on the.
Yeah.
I tell my guys all the time, embrace change. When the flow is going, water's moving, it's clean, right? So I truly believe we're called to be rivers of living water. So on that, the business should be the same way. Nobody wants to go work for a business that's like a detention pond, right? It just gets stagnant. Right? Everybody there has been there forever, right? Everyone that's in that, they're all the same. Nothing moves, right? It's just kind of that's where it's at. And you see people that get in these companies sometimes, and there's just no movement, right? And fortunate or unfortunate, a river has turnover, right? Yeah. And sometimes that's not always a bad thing. And so one of the things I like to say is don't be scared to turn over. Sometimes it's okay, and sometimes it's okay that maybe it's someone that you thought you needed, and it turns out you don't. And now those opportunities of different people sometimes coming in provide for that.
Yeah.
That younger guy, he gets a shot.
Yeah.
Right? And those are the little nuggets, I guess, where it's like that guy that got that shot, that's a long-term employee now. You gave him a shot early, you gave him a shot young, and walked with him through some of the fires and the hard stuff, that creates a lot of loyalty.
Yeah.
I think every time we've had a person leave that you'd say like, oh man, this is going to hurt. It does hurt.
Oh, it does.
But the hurt is condensed. It's not forever. And I think sometimes we forget about that piece.
Yeah.
It might be a week, it might be 2 weeks, it might be a month. But all of a sudden 6 months, a year goes by, and you look back and you're like, we're actually in a better spot than we were then. We've improved.
Yeah.
And one analogy I really like is I'm a mission guy. And if you find people that believe in your mission, your car's going to go.
Yeah.
And they're going to get in the car and go.
So what do you guys do for that buy-in of the mission?
Well, we try to do things like this. We come to DirtWorld and go home inspired with, hey, here's a few more nuggets that we can take back and try to roll out to our team.
Yeah.
But I think telling our story is the biggest piece of it. We have a fantastic story. Everybody has a fantastic story.
Yeah, everybody has a story.
You know, we were talking to one of our fellows in New Mexico the other day, and he's from Guatemala. And his English is negligible. But he was talking about how Westcom changed his life because he came here from Guatemala with nothing, and now all of a sudden he has something to take care of his family, and he got emotional about it. Well, Westcom didn't change his life. He changed his life.
Yeah.
He came here, he put the hard work in, and now look at the result.
We'll have an opportunity.
It was the opportunity.
The opportunity.
You had a need, which created the opportunity, which created the... And that's really... I mean, that's the thing about the construction industry. There's so much opportunity, right?
People underestimate the long game of recruitment. We have a really cool story with a kid that about 10 years ago, we had a job site by his house, and he was just a kid, probably 8 years old at that time. And he would come out and watch us work, and our crews and our teams were kind to him. Like, let him come on the job site, made sure he was safe, would check on him daily. And this kid was awesome. He watched us day in and day out all summer long. And I know this now because he told me on the backside that he had said, I'm going to work for that company. Now, fast forward, I met him at a career fair it was probably middle school. Gave him a hat. He took that hat and he told me, I'm going to work for you. Kept in contact with him through high school. He graduated high school. He works for us today.
Wow.
It's such a cool story. And just this last week, one of our superintendents down in Oregon calls and he says, hey, he goes, Drew. And I said, yeah, what about him? He goes, I don't know what you did to this kid, but you made his dreams come true. That's a 10-year recruitment that took place because our guys showed kindness on a job for a kid that was watching, wondering, could he do that? Could he do that? You know, I mean, those big, scary construction workers, I mean, you know, a lot of times as a kid, I'd have been terrified, right? But they approached him, and so they neutralized that fear of the industry at a young age, and he was excited to get into it when he was 18.
Wow.
Similar to Aaron's story, sounds like.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think everybody has that kind of a, maybe not that specific story, but a kind of a story like that, where it interests you, whatever, and you want to see it through and go for it and try it out, and that's what you can do. I would say, everybody, you can try different things, and hopefully your company's large enough that you can go to different departments or different divisions and learn and grow as much as you want to grow.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, John, you mentioned bring back nuggets to your team. What nuggets are you going to bring back from this conference so far?
Well, last year, when we met, the first DirtWorld conference, one of the things I brought back was Marcus Sheridan's They Ask, You Answer, and how does that apply on the employee side for attracting people? Well, I rolled out our careers page with the help of the team, obviously, and we now have the ability for people to apply online, and I have some blog posts up there that talk about the specific things. What does an electrician make? It's on our website. You can go look.
Yeah.
It's not specific. We're non-union.
Yeah.
So
it depends.
It's a range.
It's a range.
But you got an idea. And it's been absolutely phenomenal, the response from that. I think we're not a huge company, but 3 to 5 applications a week come through our website now, where it was 0 a year ago.
Yeah, that's tremendous growth.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
that is really
it's
good.
spectacular. So this summer, I happened to, or actually spring, I went to Florida, and when I go to Florida, my wife likes to sit on the beach, so I usually grab a book. Well, I happened to get this book that they talked about today from Jeff Smart.
Oh, okay.
So I read this book this spring.
So you're already ahead of the curve.
I was like, this is really cool. This is really cool. I got to implement some of this stuff.
Yeah.
And then I heard that he was going to speak here. I was like, okay, I'm going.
Yes.
I got to go.
Yeah. I think just the amount of things that you can get. Listen, I think this is amazing, right? Like we could talk about different industries, different segments of the country. There's just so much opportunity out there. But I will say, for me, it's like overwhelming. You have to break it down in little chunks, and you got to just execute the one thing. And to the speaker yesterday, like tomorrow, or just get through today, or this is not easy stuff that we're talking.
The next step.
Yeah, this is the stuff that we're talking about implementing. It's not going to be like everybody's going to be on board. There's going to be some pushback. It's going to be, what's the ROI? What's it in it for this person and that person?
It's learning to start where you are with what you have, right? And that's the hurdle that I've had to get over, and we've had to get over many times. Is comparison, right? They say is the thief of joy. It's learning to put the blinders on and say, okay, what do I have to work with? And let's start with where we are with what we have, and just put one foot in front of the other.
Yeah.
And it's just accountability. I think I took that away last year, even with Jocko.
Extreme ownership.
And accountability, right? I want to be held accountable at the end of the day, right? I may not always like it, but I sure respect and love the men and women that are willing to speak truth into me and say, hey, let's go left, let's go right. Whatever that is that they're seeing, I need that, right? And be coachable. We all need that.
Yeah. Well, hey, they talk about planes today. I'm going to use this analogy. Like, we have a pretty high level of elevation we're looking through. What do you see in the industry in the next 3, 5, 10 years? What excites you?
Well, what excites me is, like I mentioned earlier, our mission to energize America. So however it goes, just like America needs the dirt world and the excavating, that's what does it, energy is hand in hand with that. So whether we're talking fossil fuels, whether we're talking solar, whether we're talking electricity, whatever it is, we need energy. And affordable energy is the key.
Yes.
It's not going to help us if you look at Germany right now. They have Volkswagen laying off 75,000 people because they can't afford to make cars over there.
Wow. I didn't know that. I didn't know it was that dire. I mean,
it's bad. They had more people dying 2 winters ago from not being able to afford affordable energy than have died, during COVID.
Wow.
So it's pretty remarkable.
It's wild.
But yeah, it is. And energy is a part of our future.
Yes.
So it feels like we're here, and man,
we got to get way. This country's got to grow quickly for energy. The one thing that I found fascinating was how much energy these data centers.
Oh, it's unreal.
It's like little towns. Like, it is equivalent to my hometown.
So we went to a conference in North Dakota a couple months ago, and one of the guys that spoke there was actually the CEO of an oil company, and he'd been called by Microsoft to go to Seattle for a conference. And the CEO of Microsoft told him that I didn't realize that I'm in the energy business, not the computer business. That's how much energy AI is demanding.
Yes. And for us to keep up with the rest of the nations, AI has just got to grow by leaps and bounds. And it is in the next 3 to 5 years or whatever that is. It's going to be an energy game. Where do you see the industry in the next 3 to 5 years?
Kind of a lot of that focus is going towards the energy side of things, but also, we're doing a lot of data centers, that type of thing. So a lot of your commercial stuff, your tilt-ups, that type of stuff. We're seeing a lot of that. It depends. I think it's going to continue to grow. I think it's going to slow a little bit for a while, but I don't see the bottom dropping out. We're seeing developers and owners that they're hanging on to their money a little bit more, but they're still moving forward.
Yes.
So I think it's going to be good. I think it's a good thing. One of the things he brought up was like when you trim the plane, right? It's going to force us to trim some things, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. You know, when I look at that, like sometimes you go full bore, 90 miles an hour, and you're just going, and you don't have time to actually trim some things and get lean, get good.
Yeah, you know, sometimes getting lean is part of the.
It's not a bad thing.
It's not a bad thing.
It's not a bad thing to feel it.
Take a step back and relook. So, hey, I appreciate you guys. I appreciate you guys being acquaintances in the industry. I appreciate you taking the time out of your day. And if there's anything I can do to help, please let me know, call, contact, and we'll go from there. So with that, we're going to wrap it up.
All right. Thanks, Chris.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much. And I'll see you guys at dinner tonight, right?
Depends.
Yeah.
Depends. All right.
Thanks for listening to the Brubacher Podcast today. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe to our podcast so you can listen to the new episodes each month. Share it with your friends in the industry and those who might like to learn more about the construction industry. Feel free to check out our website at www.brubacher.net. I'm Keith Brubacher, president of Brubacher Excavating Incorporated, and we hope you found our discussion insightful, and we look forward to the next time together.